Welcome to World Information HD, the ultimate destination for rare coin discoveries and hidden treasures. In today's video, we're diving into the fascinating world of American history through metal and minting, as we count down the top 5 most valuable rare USA Lincoln wheat pennies worth millions. These tiny copper coins might look ordinary, but some of them have shocked collectors worldwide with unbelievable auction prices. Stay tuned till the end. You might just learn that a penny in your pocket could be worth a fortune. Today, we're diving deep into one of America's most intriguing and historical coins, the 1940 no-mint mark Lincoln wheat penny. At first glance, it might look like an ordinary 1-cent coin, something you could easily overlook in your loose change. But behind its simple copper shine lies a legacy of history, craftsmanship, and potential fortune that continues to captivate collectors all over the world. The 1940 Lincoln wheat penny stands as a proud representative of an era defined by resilience and transition. America was still recovering from the Great Depression, and the world stood on the brink of World War II. During this time, every coin that left the U.S. Mint carried not just monetary value but also a piece of the nation's story. The Lincoln wheat penny, with its humble 1-cent denomination, was the coin of the people, circulating in millions of hands, from factory workers to soldiers, from farmers to children buying their first candy bar. Now, what makes the 1940 no-mint mark Lincoln penny particularly special? The no-mint mark designation tells us that it was minted in Philadelphia, the original home of the U.S. Mint, where some of the most iconic coins in American history were produced. Unlike pennies struck in Denver or San Francisco, Philadelphia coins carried no mint mark under the date. At the time, the Philadelphia Mint was operating at full force, striking hundreds of millions of Lincoln cents to meet the growing demand of a recovering economy. Yet, among these millions of coins, there exist rare examples that defy the ordinary, coins that have survived the passage of time in pristine condition, carrying unique features that elevate them from everyday pocket change to treasures of incredible worth. Let's step back for a moment and admire the design that has captured the hearts of collectors for generations. On the obverse, or front side, is the noble profile of Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner in 1909 to commemorate the centennial of Lincoln's birth. His design was a revolution in American coinage, marking the first time a real person appeared on a regular U.S. coin. The detail in Lincoln's expression, his steady gaze, his thoughtful demeanor, embodies the strength and moral courage that defined his legacy. Beneath Lincoln's portrait lies the date, 1940, standing boldly without any mint mark. Above, the words, "In God We Trust," and to the left, the simple yet powerful word, "Liberty." Turning the coin over, the reverse reveals 2 wheat stalks framing the proud lettering, 1 cent, and United States of America. This design, often called the wheat ears, or wheat reverse, symbolizes prosperity and growth. Between the stalks, the motto, E pluribus unum, Latin for out of many one, captures the very essence of America's unity during uncertain times. While the design remained consistent for many years, what sets certain 1940 no-mint mark Lincoln cents apart are subtle variations and conditions that make them truly valuable. To most, a circulated penny might seem insignificant, but to numismatists, serious coin collectors, even the smallest imperfection or variation can mean the difference between a coin worth a few cents and one worth thousands of dollars. One major factor influencing value is the coin's grade, a measure of its condition, ranging from good for heavily worn coins to mint state for those that appear nearly untouched since the day they were struck. Most 1940 pennies in circulation are brown or dark copper, showing signs of age. But in extremely well-preserved examples, you can still see the original bright reddish luster that reflects the craftsmanship of the mint workers who created them 85 years ago. Collectors treasure these brilliant, uncirculated coins, those that have been shielded from oxidation, wear, and corrosion, because they represent a frozen moment in time. But condition isn't the only factor. Some 1940 no-mint mark pennies were struck with slight variations or errors that make them incredibly rare. Among the most sought-after varieties are doubled dies, coins that appear to have letters or numbers slightly doubled due to a misalignment during the minting process. When you look closely at "In God We Trust," or the date, 1940. On such a coin, the doubling effect is strikingly visible. These varieties are like hidden secrets left behind by the mint's machinery, turning an ordinary penny into an extraordinary collectible. Other valuable features might include off-center strikes, where part of the design is missing due to misalignment, or repunched mint marks from other years accidentally used during die preparation. Even though the Philadelphia Mint typically didn't include a mint mark, transitional errors, die cracks, and lamination flaws have been found on certain 1940 issues, making each discovery a thrilling find for collectors. What makes this story even more fascinating is how these coins connect the past to the present. Think about it. The 1940 no-mint mark Lincoln wheat penny could have been used by a young soldier buying a train ticket to enlist, or by a family struggling to get by during wartime rationing. Every penny carries a trace of history, a tangible link to the countless lives it touched before finding its way into the hands of a collector decades later. Over the years, coin enthusiasts have tirelessly searched through jars, drawers, and old coin rolls in hopes of finding one of these rare gems. And sometimes, the discovery comes from the most unexpected places: a forgotten box in an attic, an inherited coin collection, or even spare change at the bottom of a piggy bank. It's that thrill of discovery that keeps collectors inspired, the idea that something as small as a penny could hold a story, and a fortune, waiting to be uncovered. Now, let's talk about how these coins are appraised and valued in today's market. Professional grading services like PCGS and NGC carefully inspect each coin, analyzing every detail: the luster, the strike quality, the presence of marks or wear, to assign a numerical grade. Coins that achieve a mint state grade of 65 or higher are considered exceptional, often commanding premium prices at auctions. For collectors, such high-grade specimens represent not only historical artifacts but also investments that can appreciate significantly over time. And as the years pass, their rarity only grows. The number of surviving coins in pristine condition declines as others are lost, damaged, or melted down. This scarcity drives demand, and when demand meets rarity, prices soar. The 1940 no-mint mark Lincoln penny has seen impressive auction results over the decades. Collectors from around the world eagerly bid for top-graded examples, especially those with brilliant red color and sharply defined details. What was once a simple cent used in everyday transactions has now become a coveted piece of American numismatic heritage. There's also a sentimental beauty in these coins that goes beyond monetary value. They remind us of the craftsmanship of a bygone era, when coins were struck not just as currency but as miniature works of art. Each one tells a silent story of the hands that made it, the pockets it traveled through, and the times it survived. So, if you ever come across a 1940 no-mint mark Lincoln wheat penny in your collection or among your loose change, don't dismiss it too quickly. Take a closer look, examine its surface, its color, and its details. You might just be holding a piece of history far more valuable than you realize. Because among the millions of 1940 pennies that were minted, a select few have become true treasures, coins so well preserved and rare that they've fetched astounding amounts when sold to collectors and enthusiasts who understand their worth. These coins are reminders that even something as small and ordinary as a penny can hold extraordinary value when preserved through time. And now, the question that everyone wants to know: how much could one of these coins actually be worth? After careful grading and expert evaluation, an exceptional, high-grade 1940 no-mint mark Lincoln wheat penny, preserved in near-perfect condition, displaying stunning original luster and virtually no wear, has been sold for an astonishing amount of $54,356. Yes, you heard that right. A simple 1-cent coin from 1940, struck without a mint mark in Philadelphia, can reach a value so high that it turns heads across the collecting world. It's a humbling reminder that history, patience, and passion can transform the smallest artifact into a priceless treasure. So the next time you sift through your old coins, remember, the next great discovery could be sitting quietly in the palm of your hand, waiting to reveal its story, its legacy, and maybe even its fortune. The year was 1941, a time when the world was on the edge of chaos, with World War II casting its dark shadow across the globe. Yet, back home in the United States, life continued to move forward, and ordinary Americans carried pennies in their pockets that would one day become pieces of history. Among these small copper coins lies one of the most fascinating and valuable treasures for collectors, the 1941 no-mint Mark Lincoln Wheat penny. At first glance, it may look like just another old coin, but what lies beneath its surface is a story of craftsmanship, survival, and extraordinary worth. The 1941 Lincoln Wheat penny was struck during a time of great transition. The nation was recovering from the Great Depression, and industries were shifting towards supporting the war effort. Copper, the metal used to make pennies, was in high demand for ammunition and military supplies. Because of this, every coin minted during these years carries not just monetary value, but a piece of American history within it. Each 1941 penny tells a story about resilience, perseverance, and the small details that make collectors' hearts race even decades later. When you look at a 1941 penny, the first thing you'll notice is the familiar image of President Abraham Lincoln on the obverse side, designed by Victor David Brenner. His profile, strong and wise, had already been featured on U.S. pennies since 1909. But in 1941, this iconic image took on new meaning. It became a quiet reminder of unity in a divided world. Underneath Lincoln's portrait are the words, "In God we trust," and to his right the word, "Liberty." To the left, the date 1941 sits proudly, with no mint mark beneath it, meaning this coin was produced at the Philadelphia Mint. The absence of a mint mark often goes unnoticed by new collectors, but to coin enthusiasts, it holds importance. The Philadelphia Mint, being the oldest and primary mint facility in the United States, did not use a mint mark at that time. Coins from this location were generally produced in the highest quantities, but that doesn't mean all are the same. Small variations, striking errors, and differences in condition can make certain 1941 pennies exceptionally rare and worth a fortune today. On the reverse side of the 1941 Lincoln Wheat penny, you'll find two stylized wheat stalks curving along the left and right edges. These aren't just decorative, they symbolize prosperity, hard work, and the agricultural roots of America. Between them are the bold words 1 cent and United States of America. Above that you can read E pluribus unum, meaning out of many one. It's a design that collectors adore, simple, elegant, and deeply symbolic. Now, when it comes to identifying value, collectors pay close attention to several key factors: condition, color, minting errors, and overall rarity. For the 1941 no-mint Mark Lincoln Wheat penny, most were produced in vast numbers, over 887 million, to be exact. But what makes a few of them so valuable today isn't how many were made, but how few survived in pristine condition or with striking errors that make them stand out. Let's start with condition. In the coin world, the term condition refers to how much wear a coin has endured. The grading scale ranges from poor, where the details are nearly gone, to mint state, where the coin looks almost exactly as it did the day it was struck. A 1941 penny in poor condition may only be worth a few cents, but one that has never been circulated, with its original luster and no signs of wear, can fetch an incredible price. Collectors look for sharp details in Lincoln's hair, clear lettering, and a rich reddish-brown copper tone that glows even after more than 80 years. Next comes the question of color. Over time, copper coins naturally change hues due to oxidation. A 1941 penny might appear brown, red-brown, or bright red. The redder the penny, the higher its value, because it suggests that the coin has been preserved carefully and hasn't been exposed to air or moisture. A full red, mint state 1941 penny is a true gem among collectors. But perhaps the most exciting aspect of these coins is the minting errors, small, accidental variations that occurred during the coin's production. These errors can include double dies, off-center strikes, or weakly struck designs. Each one of these errors makes a coin unique. Imagine holding a penny that has two dates slightly overlapping, or one where Lincoln's profile appears shadowed by a second faint image. These small imperfections are what drive collectors wild. A single error penny can skyrocket in value, especially if it's well preserved and authenticated by grading services like PCGS or NGC. For instance, Some 1941 pennies are known to have double die obverse, meaning the date or lettering appears doubled under close inspection. Others have die cracks, tiny raised lines running across the coin's surface caused by a damaged die. And in extremely rare cases, some coins have slight misalignments or die clashes, where parts of the design were accidentally imprinted in the wrong areas. Each of these details adds a layer of uniqueness and desirability to the coin. Another aspect that increases the worth of a 1941 penny is its historical context. Remember, this coin circulated during the early years of World War II. Many of these pennies were spent by soldiers, used to buy stamps, newspapers, or small necessities. When you hold a 1941 penny, you're holding a piece of that era, a tangible artifact from the days when America was preparing for war, and families were saving every cent they could. Collectors also value coins with original toning, a natural patina that forms on the surface of copper over decades. Some 1941 pennies have developed beautiful shades of blue, violet, or gold due to oxidation. Far from lowering the value, this natural color can sometimes increase it, as it shows authenticity and age. Now, let's talk about preservation. If you happen to find an old 1941 penny in your drawer or a jar of change, never clean it. Cleaning can scratch the surface and strip away the original luster, drastically reducing the coin's value. Experts recommend keeping rare pennies in coin holders or capsules to prevent air exposure and handling damage. Over the years, the fascination with Lincoln wheat pennies has only grown. Coin enthusiasts, both young and old, are constantly searching for that one special piece that could change their lives. The 1941 no-mint mark penny continues to surprise collectors at auctions, especially when it's in uncirculated or proof-like condition. Stories have circulated of people discovering these valuable pennies in inherited collections, estate sales, and even old coffee cans tucked away in basements. The thrill of finding a coin that's been sitting unnoticed for decades, only to learn it's worth thousands, is what keeps this hobby alive and exciting. Imagine this: a small, copper coin from 1941, no bigger than the tip of your finger, carrying immense value simply because it survived time untouched. The allure lies not just in its monetary worth, but in the history it holds, the conversations it's been a part of, the pockets it's traveled through, and the era it represents. Each scratch, tone, and curve of a 1941 penny tells a silent story of America's past, the resilience of its people, the shift of industries, and the evolution of its currency. Collectors don't just see coins as money. They see them as living records, tiny metallic storytellers that connect generations. So, the next time you come across an old penny from the early 1940s, take a closer look. Hold it to the light and study its surface carefully. You might just be staring at a rare treasure hiding in plain sight, a coin that has weathered the storms of history and emerged as a timeless artifact of American legacy. And now, the big question: just how much could a 1941 no-mint mark Lincoln wheat penny be worth today if it's in pristine, mint-state condition and shows extraordinary quality, or a rare error? Well, collectors have paid staggering amounts for the best examples ever found. One of these magnificent coins, preserved to perfection with full original red luster and no sign of wear, has reached an astonishing price of $74,356. Yes, you heard that right. A small copper penny from 1941, worth $74,356. That's the magic of coin collecting, a world where history meets art, and where even the smallest coin can hold a story and a fortune within its copper walls. So keep your eyes open, because the next rare treasure could be resting quietly in the palm of your hand, waiting for its story to be told. Welcome to World Information HD, the place where every small detail about rare and valuable coins comes to life. In today's video, we'll be diving deep into one of the most fascinating coins in American history, the 1956 no-mint mark Lincoln wheat penny. This coin, often overlooked by millions of collectors and coin enthusiasts, hides a story of mystery, value, and historic importance. So sit back, relax, and let's unfold the incredible tale behind this iconic piece of copper that could make you a fortune if you happen to find one hiding in your change. The year was 1956. America was thriving in the post-war era. The country was filled with optimism, Elvis Presley was shaking up the music scene, and the United States Mint was busy producing millions of Lincoln cents. Yet, among the hundreds of millions of pennies struck that year, a small fraction of them, the 1956 Lincoln wheat pennies without a mint mark, became the subject of fascination for collectors around the world. To understand why this particular penny stands out, we must first explore its origin and design. The Lincoln wheat penny was first introduced in 1909 to celebrate the 100th birthday of President Abraham Lincoln. Designed by Victor David Brenner, it was the first American coin to feature a real historical figure rather than a symbolic design. On the front, or obverse, we see the iconic portrait of Lincoln, facing right, surrounded by the words, "In God We Trust." Above his head, Liberty, to his left, and the year of mintage, in this case, 1956, located just below his chin. The back, or reverse, features two stylized wheat stalks curving along the edges, giving the coin its nickname, the Wheat Penny. Between them are the words 1 cent and United States of America, with the phrase E pluribus unum proudly displayed at the top. It's a simple yet timeless design that remained in circulation until 1958, before being replaced by the Lincoln Memorial Cent in 1959. Now, the 1956 Lincoln wheat penny without a mint mark was produced at the Philadelphia Mint. This is why there's no mint mark under the date. Many people mistakenly think that a coin without a mint mark is an error, but that's not the case for 1956. Philadelphia simply didn't use a mint mark that year. However, the real excitement lies in the small variations and rare errors that occurred during production. The United States Mint produced around 420 million pennies in Philadelphia that year. Yet, only a small percentage of those coins possess tiny but significant differences that make them extremely valuable to collectors today. Among the most notable are double die errors, die cracks, repunch dates, and variations in luster and strike quality. One of the most famous varieties is the 1956 double die obverse, where letters like Liberty or In God We Trust appear slightly doubled under magnification. This error occurred when the coin die was accidentally impressed twice at slightly different angles, creating that shadow-like doubling effect. Collectors love this because it's visible even to the naked eye in many cases, and that small detail can raise the coin's value by hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Another interesting feature to look out for is die cracks or die breaks. Over time, the dies used to strike the coins would wear out or crack, leaving raised lines or lumps on the coin's surface. Sometimes, these cracks appeared dramatically, even connecting Lincoln's bust to the rim, giving a dramatic visual effect that made such coins unique. Then there are the repunched mint mark and date errors. Though Philadelphia coins didn't have a mint mark, the date was hand-punched onto the die in that era. Occasionally, a worker might strike it slightly off position and repunch it correctly, leaving a faint shadow of the original date behind. These subtle imperfections are what collectors hunt for when searching through old wheat pennies. The luster and condition of the coin also play a major role in determining its worth. Coins that have retained their original shine, showing little to no wear, are known as uncirculated or mint state coins. These are graded using the Sheldon scale, which ranges from 1, poor, to 70, perfect mint state. A 1956 penny in mint state condition with sharp details, full red copper color, and no scratches can bring in impressive sums at auction. The story of the Lincoln wheat penny also holds emotional value for Americans. It represents more than just currency, it's a piece of national heritage. During the 1940s and 1950s, these coins passed through the hands of veterans returning from war, children saving for their first toys, and families building dreams in post-war America. Finding one today feels like uncovering a small time capsule from an era of hope and resilience. Collectors often describe the joy of finding a 1956 wheat penny as a mix of nostalgia and excitement. Even though millions were minted, finding one in pristine condition is becoming harder each year. Most have been worn down, corroded, or lost over time. That's why well-preserved examples are so highly prized in the coin market today. Let's take a look at what makes the 1956 no-mint mark Lincoln penny so appealing from a collector's perspective. First, its design represents the end of an era. the last few years before the transition to the Lincoln Memorial reverse. Second, the coin's copper composition adds a warm, distinctive tone that many collectors prefer over the duller zinc cents produced after 1982. Each 1956 penny is made of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, giving it that classic reddish-brown luster that naturally oxidizes into darker tones over time. Another key reason for its growing popularity is the surge in online coin trading and auction sites. Platforms like eBay and Heritage Auctions have brought these coins to the attention of a global audience. Stories of people finding old jars of wheat pennies and discovering rare errors worth thousands have fueled public interest like never before. For example, some lucky individuals have found 1956 wheat pennies with incredible doubling errors or unusually strong strikes that have fetched large sums in auctions. Others have discovered that even regular 1956 no-mint mark pennies, when preserved in near-perfect mint condition, can reach jaw-dropping prices. Coin grading services such as PCGS, Professional Coin Grading Service, and NGC, Numismatic Guarantee Corporation, authenticate and grade coins, providing collectors with accurate evaluations. When a coin like the 1956 no-mint mark penny receives a high grade, say, MS66 or MS67, it instantly becomes a hot commodity among numismatists. But even more fascinating is the human side of these discoveries. Many stories tell of families cleaning out attics or old boxes, only to find rolls of wheat pennies tucked away for decades. Some of those coins, forgotten by time, end up being small treasures. The excitement of opening an old roll and finding that perfect 1956 penny with sharp details and full red color is what keeps collectors hooked year after year. So, how can you identify if your 1956 no-mint mark Lincoln wheat penny is valuable? Start by examining the coin's condition. Look for clear details, strong luster, and minimal wear. If the coin still shines like it did the day it was minted, you could be holding something special. Next, check for doubling in the letters or date, as well as any unusual marks or raised lines that might indicate an error. Using a magnifying glass or a jeweler's loupe can help reveal these details. If you think you have a rare variety, consider getting it graded by a professional service. It's a small investment that can greatly increase your coin's market value. Remember, the coin collecting world thrives on accuracy, rarity, and condition. A small detail can make the difference between a coin worth just a few cents and one worth thousands. The 1956 no-mint mark Lincoln wheat penny remains a beloved piece of American numismatic history, not just for its beauty, but for its connection to a simpler, more optimistic era. It's a coin that tells a story of craftsmanship, history, and human curiosity. Whether you're a seasoned collector or just someone who loves exploring the hidden value of everyday objects, this penny reminds us that sometimes, the most ordinary things can hold extraordinary worth. And now, the moment you've been waiting for, the current estimated value of a top-graded 1956 no-mint mark Lincoln wheat penny. If you happen to find one in exceptional mint state condition, fully red with no visible wear or scratches, it could be worth an astonishing $51,039. So, next time you come across an old jar of pennies, don't rush to spend them. Take a closer look. You might just be holding a small piece of American history that could change your life forever. Have you ever looked at an old penny and wondered if it could actually be worth a small fortune? Well, today's story might just have you checking your change a little closer. Because buried deep in the pockets, drawers, and jars of America are coins that could turn an ordinary day into an unforgettable one. And one of those coins, the 1957 no-mint mark Lincoln wheat penny, has an incredible story, and an even more incredible value. The Lincoln wheat penny has been part of American history for generations. Introduced in 1909 to celebrate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth, it became one of the most beloved coins ever produced by the United States Mint. Its design was the first to feature a real person, President Abraham Lincoln, on a regular U.S. coin. The front, or obverse, shows Lincoln's bust designed by Victor David Brenner, while the reverse displays two elegant wheat stalks, symbolizing prosperity and unity in a nation healing from its past. By 1957, the wheat penny had already been circulating for nearly half a century. The coin was struck in Philadelphia and Denver that year, but the one we're focusing on today, the 1957 no-mint mark version, was minted in Philadelphia. The absence of a mint mark might seem like a small detail, but for collectors, it makes a world of difference. Because while millions were made, only a few came out with unique qualities, minting errors, and special conditions that turn an ordinary penny into a collector's dream. Now, let's dive deeper into what makes the 1957 no-mint mark Lincoln Wheat penny so fascinating. To the untrained eye, it looks just like any other old penny. Made of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, it carries that familiar reddish-brown tone that time slowly turns into a deeper chocolate hue. On the obverse side, Lincoln's portrait faces right with the words, "In God We Trust," gracefully arched above his head. To his left, the word Liberty sits boldly, and to his right, the date 1957 appears cleanly stamped with no mint mark underneath. Flip it over, and you see those two classic wheat ears wrapping around the words 1 cent. Above them reads, United States of America, and near the top sits the powerful phrase, E pluribus unum, meaning, out of many, one. Every curve, every letter, every texture was a reflection of post-war America, strong, proud, and optimistic about the future. But hidden among these millions of coins are those rare examples where something went slightly different, and that difference can make all the value in the world. So, what exactly makes a 1957 no-mint mark Lincoln Wheat penny worth more than just 1 cent? The answer lies in its condition, rarity, and error types. Most of the 1957 pennies were heavily circulated. They passed through countless hands, vending machines, and cash registers. Over the decades, they lost their luster, developing scratches, nicks, and discoloration. However, some coins were never used at all, carefully preserved in rolls, collections, or forgotten drawers. These untouched specimens are what collectors hunt for. When you find a 1957 wheat penny that still gleams with its original red luster, known as a red coin in collector terms, it's instantly more valuable. Coins graded by professional services like PCGS or NGC can reach surprisingly high prices if they remain in mint condition, especially with high grades like MS65, MS66, or even higher. These grades represent coins that have been beautifully preserved for over 6 decades without signs of wear. Then there's the thrilling world of minting errors. Some 1957 pennies were struck with double dies, off-center strikes, or misaligned dies, creating small imperfections that collectors absolutely adore. A double die penny, for instance, shows slight doubling on the date, or the letters in Liberty, or In God We Trust. Under a magnifying glass, these look like faint shadows or outlines, a fascinating glimpse into how coins are made, and how sometimes, even the machines make tiny mistakes. Each type of error adds its own mystery. A repunched mint mark might not apply to this particular coin since Philadelphia didn't use a mint mark, but double strikes, die cracks, and clipped planchets are all known to exist for 1957 wheat pennies. These errors make each coin truly one of a kind, and rarity always equals value in the world of coin collecting. But rarity isn't the only thing that determines value. Condition and demand are equally important. Collectors love completing sets, and a high-grade 1957 penny can fill that final spot in a wheat cent collection. The more flawless and well-preserved the coin is, the higher its price climbs. Now, let's talk about history for a moment. The year 1957 was a fascinating time in America. Dwight D. Eisenhower was president, the space race was heating up, and Elvis Presley ruled the airwaves. A gallon of gas cost about 24 cents, and a loaf of bread was just 19 cents. Imagine buying both with a handful of pennies, pennies that today could be worth thousands. That's the magic of coin collecting. It connects us not just to money, but to moments in time, to the people and stories that once handled these very coins. When collectors find a pristine 1957 no-mint mark Lincoln Wheat penny, they're not just holding metal, they're holding a preserved piece of the past. Every scratchless surface, every sharp edge, tells a story of survival. A coin like that might have sat untouched in a coin album for decades, waiting for someone to recognize its true worth. It's also worth noting that the wheat penny design ended just 2 years later, in 1958, replaced by the Lincoln Memorial reverse in 1959. That shift marked the end of an era. So, the 1957 penny stands as one of the final chapters in a beloved American coin series that ran for half a century. For new collectors, finding a 1957 wheat penny in circulation today is rare but not impossible. Many have been tucked away in jars, coin boxes, and old family keepsakes. Sometimes, people discover them while cleaning out old houses or sorting through inherited collections. And when those discoveries happen, they often lead to a pleasant surprise, especially when the coin is in exceptional condition. You might be wondering, what should you look for if you find one? Start with the color. A bright red penny that still has its mint shine is highly desirable. Next, check for sharp details. Lincoln's hair, beard, and coat lines should be crisp. Any doubling in the lettering or date could indicate an era coin. Lastly, examine the fields, or flat areas, of the coin. The fewer scratches and blemishes you see, the higher the grade could be. Collectors also value coins with strong strikes, meaning every detail came out perfectly during minting. Combine that with the right grade, color, and rarity, and you could be looking at a coin that's worth far more than its face value. Over the years, auctions and private sales have revealed some shocking prices for this humble penny. While many 1957 no-mint mark pennies might sell for a few dollars in circulated condition, those graded in top condition, especially at mint state 67 or higher, can command staggering amounts from serious collectors and investors who understand the historical and numismatic significance of these coins. Coin collecting is more than a hobby, it's a treasure hunt. Every coin tells a story, and sometimes those stories are worth a fortune. Whether you find them in an old coffee can, a family album, or even your spare change, the excitement of discovering a rare wheat penny never fades. It's that thrill of holding history, the chance of striking it rich, and the beauty of craftsmanship that keeps collectors searching. So, if you ever come across a 1957 no-mint mark Lincoln wheat penny, don't overlook it. Take a closer look under a good light or magnifying glass. It could be the coin that changes your view on pennies forever, and for the lucky few who find the rarest and most pristine examples, the kind that gleam like the day they were struck, free of any blemish or wear, the reward can be astonishing. Because one exceptional 1957 no-mint mark Lincoln wheat penny in perfect mint condition has been known to sell for an eye-opening price of $37,362. Sometimes, the smallest things hold the greatest value. So, before you spend that old penny, take one last look. It might just be your ticket to a hidden treasure,